Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Transformation in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in. Oh, so glad you're here. I hope everybody's doing okay. What is this? A breakthrough? Oh, thank goodness. At 10 seconds on my counter, even. I tried to plug my microphone in like 10 times. I tried different cords. I got all the cords. It's not working. And last night, one of the cats knocked one of my ear pods into the bowl of water. So I woke up this morning and my ear pod had been saturated. And I'm going, what the heck is going on right now? So I'm going to, I apologize for the sound and I'm going to do my best to amplify it and take out any of the background noise. But, last time we talked about speaking your truth. And there was some things that have happened and that we're sending light to all of that. We're sending light to all of that. And here's this breakthrough coming through. Look at that. Look how gorgeous that is. It reminds me of a Van Gogh painting or something. It says, in order for achievement to be maintained, a new order must be fairly established, expressing and transforming inner truth into a unique perspective. Line 6, breakthrough. Line 5, progression. Line 4, one-track mind. Line 3, expediency. Line 2, dedication. Line 1, patience. It says insight. Listen to your own inner voice. Like having that patience, that the P word, but being dedicated and knowing that dedication is going to take patience. It's going to take a while to get to where you need to be, right? Or from where you've come. I have the utmost respect for people who've dragged themselves out of the gutters and, and like are living a different life now, a better life. They've got to know themselves. And those people are some of the most deep, magical people that are walking the planet, right? That are walking on the earthly plane right now, because there's this idea of the train trauma collecting itself in our bodies throughout the whole nervous system. That's what I'm talking about. There's this push, there's a frustration here, right, about what is being said. And it isn't just about the idea of saying it, it's about the idea of hearing it, the idea of listening, of being heard. I'm hearing like falls upon deaf ears, right? Guys, this morning I'm just gonna take a deep breath. And I don't think it's just, my little bubble here. I think that it's the emergence of what has been exposed by the full moon. And people being exposed to their own deepest, darkest, right? And how we examine that and how we handle that. And that's why I said in the last couple of readings, this is an inside job, not to be concerned so much about what others are doing or the progress that someone else has made or their idea of what the progress you made should be, right? Because it's not their business. And if we focus too much on that, what's happening in the exterior, what's happening in the others, then we neglect what's happening within ourselves and it perpetuates. See, so when we take care of ourselves, or when we say, you know what, this thing right now is kind of pushing a button in me. I'm feeling a button being pushed right now. How we respond to that is entirely up to us, but it does also, cause and effect, right? The cause of this, the effect is that we're feeling this way. And the cause of the effect of us feeling this way is up to us. We can stay dedicated, stay patient, stay true to ourselves when we're feeling those feelings. Why am I feeling this way? What is it about that situation that's making me feel this way? Really self-examine and get down to the nuts and bolts of it, the brass tacks of it, the bottom line, whatever it might be, to get to that point of breakthrough. Wow, and it's like all these bubbles, right? I interviewed a guy named Fred Gangstad about the bubbles of the cosmic universe and like um, all of the layers, the boundary layers, and how everything becomes these bubbles. And in physics, it's called the Debye screen effect, Debye. Check it out. It's very interesting. And it's about these layers that form and the density of the layers, right? So if you think about ourselves in this 3D form, we would be at the center of the monad, right? The circle is the center of everything and it encompasses everything all at once. And so when we are In the center of this, our effects ripples out to the edges. And when we are the edges, what happens in the center ripples out and affects us. And there's this breakthrough between the barriers, right? Between the density. And we're heading into that, right? With Samhain coming up and the equinox coming up. But the veil is very, very thin right now, especially that Piscean, that super Piscean influence, right? And that Virgo influence to clean out what's in there, right? That's the one track mind. Having to open ourselves up to diversity, to be flexible, to listen to what someone else has to say without reacting. Sometimes people want a reaction from us. No. Mm-mm. Sometimes people feel unheard, so they're loading extra frustration, determination, narrow-mindedness, right, into that expression. And so rather than get the information from the expression, you get like this whole loaded baked potato, right? And so being open to the idea that yes, this might be the singular focus that can change the outcome, right? But also sometimes that singular focus restricts us from being able to see what else is possible, right? And that's what the progression, like we skipped expediency because it isn't very, I want to say logical, but efficient, effective, quick, right? To talk around in circles, to bombard like boop, 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 like a pinball machine through the bubble. So being precise and being direct and at the same time being open to the possibilities is the flexibility needed for progression, right? Progression comes next. And when we start to progress, when we get past this point, we've been patient with ourselves, we've been dedicated, right? You've worked hard to actually make it move through, getting a little bit singularly focused, a little bit of blinders on. Sometimes that could be good, sometimes that could be bad. Again, we find a balance with that, right? And through that balance of those things, we progress. You will notice the progression, and the progression leads to the breakthrough, insight. Listen to your own inner voice. And I feel like like where that's say like where that's going, where that's coming from. Whew. Ancestors, spirits, guides. See all this stuff jumping out. We're the last unicorn deck today. What messages do you have for the collective about this breakthrough? What do they need to know? What can help us along our journey? Ancestors, spirit, guides, ones. Look, the Ten of Cups in the reverse and the Devil in the reverse. Acknowledging what is toxic and how draining that is to us. What maybe these are friendship binds, maybe these are familial binds, maybe this is the thing that had held, like the cup that had held the poison. Turning that upside down, letting it all just wash away and seeing what was actually the content of the cups from which we were drinking. This is like a community. This is like a larger number of people. This could be, ancestors who were repeating toxic cycles that you have now like freed your family from. This could be you having to step away from something like a community or something like deeply ancestral or, like something that you had put your heart and soul into, or at least you thought you did. And then there was like this succubus, incubus energy that would just drain it right out of you. Mm-hmm. And realizing that something needs to happen, having like that dedication, the breakthrough here, the breakthrough day. I'm led to the rune Degas, right? The breakthrough day. Ancestor spirits. What is this about? I'm seeing something beautiful right now, you guys. I don't know if you could see it, but on the devil card, it's the fireball. I don't know if you've seen there's a last unicorn deck, but it's the fireball. And inside is the unicorn in her human form, trapped in her human form. And he's got her scared and underneath this castle, and she feels like she can't leave, she can't progress, right? In the reverse is when she makes that breakthrough, when they drive the fireball into the water and the spirits of the unicorns are released. I want you to look what's upside down in this Ten of Cups here. There is that unicorn in her true form, in her true nature, right? Maybe not blending in. And then the Queen of Coins coming out next in the reverse. This could be the energy that is stopping you up. This could be the energy that we need to really examine here, because this is earth sign energy. We've got the Capricorn major arcana coming out, and that talks about 10th house. It talks about our jobs, our careers, right? Not our job daily. That's the Virgo. That's what we're doing right now. But the career, right? So all of the things that have led up to this point, right? If you say that you're a stylist, you start off in a chair at somebody's salon that you're renting, and the next thing you know, you own a series of salons. That's the progression of the 10th house, right? Not the job that you have, but the career and the path it takes. Take it how it resonates. In the reverse here, it's like the feminine, the feminine internal self, right? Inability to create abundance or maintain abundance, right? Through a lack of and this is like not like doesn't necessarily have to be a woman, right? It's the feminine, but it could be, right? And it could be, take it how it resonates, but it's that feeling of somebody draining the coffers, somebody not putting in the proper amount of dedicated effort, or the idea that you just can't make it, you're not valuable enough. And that's obviously a lie. And we're breaking through that barrier right now, and maybe leaving behind that archetype mindset that says, like we have to push and take things from others and be extremely stubborn, whatever that is maybe somebody did that to you, and that's why that you have a trouble navigating through things, because of that oppressive energy on the inside that's like, keeping you from moving. And there's this breakthrough here today, this breakthrough with that. What else, Spirit? What else we need to know? What is this in relation to? Eight of Coins in the reverse, you guys, and the Star in the reverse. I promise you this is a mixed deck. Look, Five of Swords. No, I promise you this is a mixed deck. Page of Wands. But these cards are coming out in the reverse for a reason. And here it goes. It's like the dedication, like where'd the dedication go? Right? And having to put forth an effort into something. What are you putting forth an effort into? Right? This is like not working is not healing. Not putting forth that effort and get you nowhere. And get you nowhere. And I think that you're starting to see that, Buzz. I knew it was just a matter of time. Ancestors, spirits, what should we do? What does the collective need to know to help them in this situation? What is helpful? The Chariot. Thank you, Spirit. Activation, confidence, victory, and movement forward. Going to that space. Hold on a second. A thought came to me while that will pause about manners, being polite, and being polite to ourselves too, right? Having some manners with ourselves really goes a long way, the self-respect and having some self-respect. And that's when we talk about not reacting to ways push people, others push you, not being, don't be reactive, be responsive kind of a thing. And there's a lot of rudeness happening lately. And when we say speak our truth, you don't have to be an asshole about it. Absolutely not. And sometimes we feel like, what am I doing? Sometimes we feel like we're not being received again, so they like push a little harder, and become irate and rude because they're not being heard, or because that extra is coming out with it. So this is about having your head and your heart lined up on the same page as the sun's rising through here in the trees. Having your head and your heart on the same page so that you can move forward, so that there is movement. This could be travel, this could be going somewhere in reality, right? You might be taking a little bit of a trip today that's really, or a change of scenery that's really leading you to see some things, to having this breakthrough. What else is possible? And then like the way I got this like on the chair, look how the light is coming through, like breaking those chains, breaking out of that cage. And that's what I kept hearing the other day was you think they're cages, but they're just shadows. You think they're bars holding you in, but they're just shadows. I wrote this poem a long time ago called Impress Me, and it was like impress that on me, impress me, but it's written like it sounds like a royal cat. Uh, what are the impression that's made, right? And what has been impressed on the spirit, on the psyche, on the soul, on the human, right? And it becomes this shadow work because we are actually, most of us anyway, tote free in movement, not actually stuck in a physical cage. But maybe we feel that way. Maybe you feel like your desk is a cage. Maybe you feel like your house is a cage. Maybe you feel like your job is a cage. Maybe you feel like society is a cage. Keep that in mind that they're shadows, right? They're shadows. They're not solid forms. It's spaces where the light is being blocked. And so you move out of those shadows and move into the light, and you can see that it disappears. The light is greater than the shadow. Wow, there's that breakthrough. There's that breakthrough. Thank you, Spirit. What's on the bottom? Oh, the magician. The magician. Having those resources available, having them at your disposal, knowing what to do with them. When this is so beautiful, all the other cards, all these cards are in the reverse. And the only one that's a major arcana is that devil card in the reverse. And we come through that breakthrough, through our patience, through our expediency, making it happen. What's expedient? The chariot. Things get moving, things move through fluidly, the breakthrough. And suddenly all of the master manifester magic is back. How bright the sun is getting. And those things can be retrieved. I'm hearing can be retrieved. So I'm going to get a couple tea leaf cards, and then I'm going to get a card from the Innovation Whack Pack, and I won't keep you guys too long today. Ancestor, look at it. How bright it is. Ancestors, spirits, guides. What symbols can the collective be on the lookout for? What symbols can the collective be on the lookout for to let them know that they're headed in the right direction? Ooh. Things starting with the letter S. Symbols beginning with the letter S. Oh, like stargazing. Could be me, could be somebody else, could be anything with an S. What could it be? A steeple. Ooh, the steeple represents disappointment. But the sunrise, which we're sitting in the sunrise now, represents new beginnings and a sense of rebirth. I hope you're feeling it. I hope you're feeling it. The swallow, the bird, right? Joyful news from a loved one. Be on the lookout for that today. And as we say that, the bird's cawing, right? A swan, a happy marriage. That could be an actual marriage. That could be, you rebuilding your relationships or reinforcing your relationships with people who love you, partnerships, right? Look at this. Look at this way. It's like, ah. And the sword is a lover's quarrel. And that could be these things that are held back or these things that need to be said, right? And speaking our truth with politeness, with manners, with self-respect, and receiving truths, receiving information that needs to be spoken in a place of receptivity, listening. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with what they say. It doesn't mean that you have to abide by what they say or conform or even change your stance. It's about participating in the listening. Look at that. It's just a shadow. So keep on the lookout for signs and symbols with the letter S. And wow, because if it's not my initials, I don't know what's going on here, guys. The letter H. Hammer, triumph over difficulties. Thank you, Thor. Yes, and Newlander, like the victorious, the building, the getting it done, right? The hammer is triumph over victories. hand. If it's distinct, this is a friendly symbol. If it's indistinct or hazy, it might be a warning. Watch which way it points. And I'm thinking of sleight of hand. I'm thinking of left-handed comments. Please don't come for me in the comments. I love left-handed people because you're right-brained. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what is the difficulty? How can we see through things? Is it clear? Is it clear, or is it in the shadows? All right. Here, swift happenings depending on the symbols close to it. Moving very, very quickly. Chariot energy, very, very quickly. Once things start to evolve and move and change, they begin to move and evolve and change at a very rapid pace. And then think about hares too, and they're also very fertile. When you talk about that stagnant energy of the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, now that ability to manifest that abundance and that fertility to multiply your resources, multiply your abundance, all of those things that comes back in. And then we have hat, which says success in life, because you dared to look within, you dared to dare the shadow, to say, hey, there is a different way, and be tenacious about it and go after it, right? And that's what's available to you, is the new beginning, the beautiful, bright new beginning, like the sun coming through now. Ancestors, spirits, guides, what would you like to leave us with in this reading here? This is the innovative whack pack. This is back in great. Ancestors, spirits, guides. That's too many, please. Not this one. That which produces a benefit. That which opposes produces a benefit. Wow. Wow. It says go around. The history of discovery and invention is filled with people whose routines were disrupted and were forced to come up with alternative solutions. The significant example of this phenomenon is the search for pepper. From the Middle Ages on, pepper was the most important spice traded between Europe and the Far East. It's because no other spice except pepper made heavily salted meat edible, and in Europe no form of preservation other than salting was generally employed. Thus it was salt and pepper that stood between meat-eating Europeans and starvation. Around 1470, the Turks began disrupting the overland trade routes east from the Mediterranean, which caused pepper prices to skyrocket. As a result, European explorers sailed west and south in search of alternative passages to the Orient. A historian, History Hobson, put it, the Americas were discovered by a byproduct in the search for pepper. Are there alternative methods you might employ to reach your objective? Interesting. And that was another poem that I wrote one time, and it was called "To Go Around," because sometimes you can't get through it, and you can't get over it, and you can't get under it, and sometimes you just have to go around it, and sometimes that's by response, not reacting. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that you got something out of it. I hope that you're enjoying this beautiful day. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for remembering to hit like and subscribe if this resonated, because it really does help the channel, and I really do appreciate it. And thank you for coming back and seeing us again next time. Bye.
Swiftest Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Transformation in 3, 2, 1.